You've been told that your joint pain is just a part of getting older. You've been told to just take another ibuprofen and push through it. But what if I told you that the very breakfast you ate this morning is currently setting off a chemical fire inside your knees and hips? The truth is, most of what we consider heart-healthy or standard in the American diet is actually biological kerosene for inflammation. I've spent the last 15 years studying the intersection of nutrition and musculoskeletal health, and I've seen thousands of people just like you, who thought they were bone on bone, suddenly find relief. Not from a new pill, but by identifying the hidden toxins sitting in their pantry. We aren't talking about the obvious stuff like candy bars or soda. We're going deeper. We're looking at the hidden ingredients that the big food lobbies have spent millions of dollars convincing you are perfectly fine. I'm talking about specific molecular triggers that travel through your bloodstream, land in your synovial fluid, and literally eat away at your cartilage. If you've ever woken up feeling like your fingers are made of lead, or if you've had to give up your morning walk because your ankles just won't cooperate, you need to hear this. Stick with me for just a few minutes, because once you see how these 7 foods operate, you can never unsee it. And more importantly, you can finally start living without that constant dull throb. If this is the kind of straight talk you've been looking for, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're building a community of seniors who refuse to just age gracefully on the sidelines. We're here to stay in the game. Now, you might be thinking, Porter, I eat pretty clean. I buy the low-fat stuff. I watch my calories. Here's the kicker. The low-fat label is often the biggest red flag for joint pain. When food companies take out the fat, they have to replace the flavor with something. And that something is usually the first massive trigger on our list. I'm talking about refined sugars and their even uglier cousin, high fructose corn syrup. When you consume these, your body releases pro-inflammatory messengers called cytokines. Think of cytokines like a 911 call for your immune system. They tell your body there's an emergency. But when you're constantly eating processed sugar, that 911 call never stops ringing. Your immune system stays in a state of high alert, and it eventually starts attacking your own healthy joint tissue. But it gets worse. There is a specific process called glycation. This is where sugar molecules actually attach themselves to the proteins in your joints. It creates these nasty compounds called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. The name is perfect because that's exactly what they do. They age your joints prematurely. They make your cartilage brittle, less flexible, and much more prone to tearing. So that healthy granola bar or that low-fat yogurt you had for a snack, it might be the very reason you're reaching for the heating pad every night. Now, let's talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing that is sitting right there in your kitchen cabinet. You've been told for decades that vegetable oils are the heart-healthy alternative to butter. But if you have joint pain, that bottle of golden liquid might as well be a bottle of acid for your knees. This brings us to food number 2, highly refined seed oils. I'm talking about soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, and the worst offender of them all, grapeseed oil. Why are these so destructive? It comes down to a tiny ratio that most doctors don't even talk about. Your body needs a balance of omega-3 fatty acids, which cool down inflammation, and omega-6 fatty acids. Historically, humans ate these in a 1-to-1 ratio. It was a perfect harmony. But today, thanks to these processed seed oils, the average American is eating a ratio of 16-to-1. Some studies show it's as high as 50-to-1. When you flood your system with that much omega-6, it's like giving your immune system a megaphone and telling it to scream at your joints. Think about it. Grapeseed oil has an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of nearly 700-to-1. When those oils hit your frying pan, they oxidize. And when you eat those oxidized fats, they travel straight to your synovial fluid, the lubricant in your joints. Instead of lubricating, they irritate. It's like putting sand in the engine of your car. You can keep driving for a while, but eventually, something is going to seize up. And here is the secret most people miss. These oils are everywhere. They are in your salad dressings, your healthy mayo, and even your roasted nuts. But it gets even more devious when we move into food number 3, hidden trans fats. Now, you might be thinking, Porter, didn't the government ban trans fats? Technically, yes. But there's a massive loophole. If a food has less than 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving, companies can legally label it as 0 grams. Check your labels for partially hydrogenated oils. If you see that phrase, there is trans fat in that box. And for someone with chronic inflammation, even a tiny amount is like throwing a match into a dry forest. Trans fats don't just raise your bad cholesterol. They trigger systemic inflammation that can make a mild case of arthritis feel like a full-blown crisis. I've seen patients who cut out these hidden fats and literally woke up 3 days later feeling like they had brand new hands. Now, you might be asking, if I can't use these oils, what am I supposed to cook with? Don't worry, I'm going to give you the green list of joint-saving swaps at the end of this video. But before we get there, we have to talk about a food group that many seniors consider a staple of a strong diet, but it might actually be leaching the minerals right out of your bones. Stick with me, because this next one is the most controversial on the entire list. Now, I know I'm going to get some pushback on this one, but if your knees feel like they're grinding every time you hit the stairs, we have to talk about food number 4, conventional dairy. Most of us grew up being told that milk does a body good and builds strong bones. But for a huge percentage of seniors, a specific protein in dairy called casein is actually a massive inflammatory trigger. Think of it this way. Your body might be mistaking that casein protein for a foreign invader. When that happens, your immune system goes on the offensive, and the battleground ends up being your joints. I've had clients who swore they could never give up their morning cheese or cream in their coffee. But once they swapped to an A2 dairy or a nut-based alternative for just 2 weeks, the weather aching in their hips simply vanished. But it's not just the dairy. We have to look at what's in the meat you're buying. This brings us to food number 5, grain-fed red meat. Now, I'm a fan of protein, but there is a world of difference between a cow that ate grass and one that was bulked up on corn and soy in a feedlot. Those grain-fed cows have incredibly high levels of arachidonic acid. When you eat that meat, your body converts that acid into pro-inflammatory markers. It's essentially bottled inflammation on a dinner plate. If you're going to eat beef, you've got to go grass-fed and grass-finished. It's the difference between feeding the fire and putting it out. Now, you might be asking, what about my snacks? That leads us to food number 6, refined carbohydrates. I'm talking about white bread, white pasta, and those heart-healthy crackers. These are basically sugar in a different outfit. They spike your insulin, and high insulin is the primary driver of systemic inflammation. If your blood sugar is a roller coaster, your joint pain will be too. Finally, we have this silent killer of mobility. Food number 7, monosodium glutamate, or MSG. You might think MSG is only in takeout, but it's hidden in salad dressings, canned soups, and even natural deli meats under names like yeast extract or hydrolyzed protein. MSG can trigger 2 things: chronic inflammation and increased pain sensitivity. It literally tells your brain to feel more pain from the same amount of joint damage. I know this feels like a lot of don'ts, but here is the secret green list I promised you. Swap those seed oils for extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Trade that white bread for sourdough or sprouted grains. And instead of grain-fed beef, reach for wild-caught salmon, which is packed with the omega-3s your joints are starving for. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just pick one trigger food from this list and cut it out for 7 days. I promise you, your body will tell you everything you need to know by day 8. If you found this helpful, do me a favor. Share this video with one friend who's tired of living on painkillers. We're changing the way we age, one meal at a time. I'm Porter, and this is Smart Senior Secrets. I'll see you in the next video.